Hello and welcome to Affinity. Let's have a look at how to stitch a panorama, but in particular then how to edit it. So File, to New Panorama, Add Images. Here we've got 5 in a row, so click at the beginning and shift click to the end and then open. And here we go, so stitch that. And there's image, so we'll say OK. Notice this is fairly curved here, and that's because when I took the pictures didn't actually keep the camera straight, it was freehand. So, but nevertheless, Affinity Photo seems to have made a pretty good job of that. Notice when it said rendering. Rendering is when because it does two things. One, it sort of like moves them around to fit, and secondly, it then sort of like evens it all out so it looks like one picture, and that's the rendering. So what we can do here is sort of zoom in and look at things. Since typically you go in and look particularly at the edges to see whether things have joined up, and it's generally pretty good. But what we can do if you want to is if I click on this here, the transform source image tool here, what I've got here is the ability to click on any image and see they're in a row there, and it shows you where they overlap here deliberately. And what you can do with these, just to show this, is you can grab a corner here and move it, and if you rotate it, it rotates about that center dot. So if I move the center dot and I rotate it, see it rotates about that point, so I can put it onto, drag it onto that little ball for example, and rotate it about there. And also as I move it up in and out, I can scale it, so you're scaling and rotating as you go, there's no one or the other. And then you've got to try and make it fit on top. If you can't do it, if you're not sure, can I go to edit? No, look, there's no undo. Okay, that's a bit of a trick, that is. So if you're going to do that, be careful about it. Also, let's go over here and look at another one and look at some of the other things that can come along. If I go along to here, it looks like these are not registered. I got 3 things not quite overlapped, but actually that's not really the problem, because I can actually see what it looks like rendered here. If I click on the render, look, I'm only seeing one here, because what it's doing is choosing only one picture to put on top. The real question is what's happening at the edges. And to control what's on the edges, I click here on the Add to Source Image Mask tool. And if I do that, let's zoom out a bit to see what we're doing. If I click one area, it grabs the picture underneath it. And what you can see here, there's a ragged line down here, and this is where it's taken this much from one picture. You know, the darker areas and the lighter areas are the areas outside. So if I zoom into here, you can see how it's matched up. It's really quite good at doing that. If I want to extend that or change that, you can see it's literally gone around here looking for a match. But if I paint on this, it extends that mask, so it says use it from the current image please. Okay, but you see here's the edge, so if I paint beyond that, it's not going to go anywhere. But if I click on the next one, there you go, now I've got where that one is, and now I can see there's 2 here. Am I going to pick here? So I'm going to pick this one as opposed to the other one, but watch out if you do that for then things ending up by not overlapping. But I've also got down here erase from source image tool. So if I control zoom out to see where I am, and I can see I might have painted mask out to here. If I go to the erase, what you're seeing here is it's only showing the bit that I have masked. So I can now paint on this, and I can remove that mask extension that I put in. So those are the main 3 tools. The others are to crop and to zoom and to look in here. To zoom around in this, also it's useful to go use the navigator. At the moment it's fully out, but if I control zoom in here, I can see where I am, and it's a really quick way of getting to parts of the image. When you're done, then press apply, and then it does a final render. And we're now in the original photo persona where you can apply other editing. So here, for example, typically what I'll do is I'll hit the crop tool, I'll rotate it till it's round about the middle here, and I'm looking at things which are vertical. I'm looking at that little distant thing there. Get that vertical, that will straighten up the edges. So I'll apply that rotation. Then I'm going to go to right click here and do the mesh warp so I can straighten up the horizon. So if I click in the middle here, now I want to pull up this end here. So I'm going to pull that up a bit and then turn that down there. And to make this work as well, if you can always put in an extra guideline, but this is just roughly to see what you can do. Over here we want to protect this one up here, so I'm going to click for a point there, and then I can grab down here and move that up to level up that horizon there. And you can see the sorts of things we're doing by literally moving the bits around the place. Oops, so straighten that up a bit. And so on until you get a picture that looks much of what you want, and I can crop it. I want to keep in the top of this thing here, so let's get down to here and apply there, and I need to come in a bit here as well, so I will go to the perspective warp and pull this in a little bit to get that straighter. It's a bit more vertical there. I'm going to rasterize and trim to clip it all the way down. So I just got this, I haven't got the big thing outside, and I can select alpha range and partially transparent. So those areas which are transparent around the edges are not there. Then go edit and in paint to tell it to figure out where to do it. And it's sky and sea, it should be able to do a pretty good version of that. There we go, Control D. See, it's filled in, you're almost invisibly there. We can do further things like put on curves and so on, but just want to show you the things that you could do. So I hope that was interesting, and thank you very much for watching.